Let's go East. Let's go Atlantic. Let's play the 240 game for the Atlantic Division. Knicks, Raptors, Celtics, Nets, and of course, the Philadelphia 76ers, Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NBA fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd, and a shout out to my new special lady, Starla, who's helped me launch my singing career. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. Thank you also for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen every day. We are free. We are available on all platforms. We're playing the 240 game. I'm trying to think of what we're going to do. We know what we're doing, the Atlantic Division. But there is like one or two positions in the mock draft series that I haven't done yet. But I do think that I've had some stuff the last couple of days where I've actually lost a bit of time during the days, stuff with my son and his school graduation, that I think if I'm doing the mock drafts now, most drafts are actually over. So I'm not sure that it's going to be worthwhile. So I'm debating whether I actually go and do those ones. I'm going to knock out these 240 games, obviously, because they have value through drafts, but also just through the start of the season anyway. So yeah, I don't know that I want to, but I'm not sure that given the stuff that I've had on the last few days and the next couple of days, just in timing and hours lost that moved out of the plan, I'm not sure that we'll get those mock drafts. I hope so, and I do apologize for that. But let's do 240 game. I think you know what the 240 game is. I hope you do. It is trying to figure out minutes in a game, because there's 240 available for a team. And I had someone, and I always encourage you guys to do this, is if you disagree and want to find extra minutes for a player that you think is going to be a good, play the 240 game. And someone did leave that in some of the comments for some of the other videos, but someone did it and said, yeah, I did it here, but I made it 250 minutes because, at times during the season, someone will get hurt. Yeah, but that's not the point. I get what you're saying. Right? That's not the point. Is that, yes, these players and their playing time will adjust based on who is available and players being in or out. That will happen. But on a nightly basis, when you try and figure out how many minutes a player gets, that is where it becomes tough. And that is where, when you look at the situations, go, well, I know this player is going to get 30 minutes, whatever. This guy might get 15, but if someone else is out, he gets 25. And the 25 is great. But what do you do with the 15? So I think it is always, we do projections both ways at Basketball Monster. We have our season-long projections, which give an overage on total minutes, between 5 to 10% extra minutes, because we cannot account for injuries. It is impossible to do. But then we have our daily projections, which are bang on 240. And we adjust those day by day. So when you were looking at, we adjust the other projections regularly too, but when you're looking at playing time of guys, and you'll see this list here, I've only got 10 guys in this Celtics rotation at the moment. Missoula said he might do 12. And there are going to be situations where they just rotate randomly guys through. But on a given night, how we find enough minutes is tough. I think this will be the Celtics opening night starting configuration, but I'll tell you now, I'm not sure. We've got Peyton Pritchard at 31 minutes. I'm very certain that he will start over Anfernee Simons. I'm very certain of that. I have been talking about Pritchard as a top 60 player all draft season. Feel pretty good about that. I've got maximum Derrick White at 33. I think White is going to be really strong this season. He's going to put up very good numbers. I've taken him at the start of round 3 in some drafts, but my worry remains. And I know that there seems to be this idea that the Celtics, they might see guys, but it won't be White or Pritchard. Why not? Why wouldn't it be? If they are bad, why would those guys be immune? Especially White, because over the last 2 seasons when the Celtics were excellent, he took days off with Brown and with Tatum and with Porzingis and with Horford. He was part of the cohort of guys that just didn't play. So I don't get that. That is my fear with White. Not that he's going to play all the way through. He's 30 plus and has had lower body injuries in his career. So that's my concern with him. And like I've always said, people say the East is weak. Yeah, the East is weak because the Celtics are bad. That is part of why the East is weak. So they have one of the worst front courts in the NBA, and that is going to be a problem. They've also got the most insane coach in the NBA, which that's a good thing. Anyway, White, I like. Jaylen Brown, I've got at 33 minutes, but let's acknowledge this, that I don't know whether Jaylen Brown is going to be available on opening night. In fact, I would guess, coming off knee surgery, hurting your hamstring in a preseason game in a season where realistically your team is not going anywhere, he will not play. But I'm not sure. I've got him at 33 as just a general rule here. Brown last season played 34 minutes. The reason I've got it down at 33 is I think that they will get beaten a lot more, so there'll be less incentive to push that extra minute. I do have his usage going up this season, and he goes in round 3 in a lot of drafts, and I would not do that. 4 or 5, I get it. Even though I think his usage will rise, he'll do more in the assists area, but because he is a below average percentage player, the more volume you bring for category leagues, the more that is detrimental to your overall value. Plus, I worry games he's going to sit. He had a surgery, and now he starts with another injury. I very much worry about what we're getting from Jaylen Brown this season. I, at this point, have Slam and Sammy Hauser starting at power forward with 29 minutes. Now, he doesn't do very much else apart from shoot threes, and there's 3-point streaming there. He's going to be one of 40 guys that you can find on standard waiver wires that can give you 2 threes a game, I reckon. 40 is an exaggeration, but you'll find a lot of them. And I've got Nemesh Keita, the Pastel Donata, starting and playing 24 minutes. Is 24 minutes for Keita enough to be a 12-team league guy? Probably. Compare him to like a Isaiah Jackson, for example. If Jackson played 24 minutes, I think he'd probably be better than Keita, but the difference here is, and why I think Keita might be a better option, is that Jackson is going to be minutes limited, he has way more foul trouble, and he's going to sit back-to-back games, and Keita will not. But I think they're all going to be pretty messy as late-round guys. But I've got Keita currently at 24 minutes. Then you go to the bench, where Anfernee Simons is going to be the main player. I've still got him playing 30 minutes a night. It is hard to get 34 off the bench. It's possible, but it is hard. And again, if you want to push him to 34, where are you taking the playing time from? I've got Boucher at 20. Now, that could easily move to 24. What if Hauser plays 25 and Boucher gets extra, or Keita plays 20 and Boucher plays some center? At the moment, I've got him at 20 with Luka Garza playing 15. But I just can't be certain about those big man numbers. Josh Minot has been one of the big surprises over the entirety of preseason. I would love him to play 25 minutes. And I think if Jaylen Brown is out, we will be streaming him in early. But, again, I've got him at 16 there. Where does he get more? Where do we push that? Do they just take Baylor Shireman out of the rotation? It would be impossible for me to project the Celtics after they've said they will go 12-man rotations to play only 9. I'm already pushing it, putting them at 10. This doesn't include Jordan Walsh. It doesn't include Hugo Gonzalez, who has been good and might actually take those 9 minutes of Shireman. So when we get to it, if old mate Joey is playing 12 guys a night, where are we taking the minutes? Does Keita play 20? Does Hauser play 25? Does Pritchard play 29? Does Simons play 27? Does Boucher play 16? It's so hard to get 12 guys in. And it's going to hurt your breakouts of Bouchers or Minots or Keitas. It's going to make it very tough for those players to do what you want them to do. We'll come back and talk about a team that is almost as confusing, if not more, the Brooklyn Nets. Today's episode, though, it is brought to you by Wayfair. The holidays, it's going to be here before you know it. We're almost in November, which leads into holiday season, of course. So that's exciting, but you got to get your house ready. And guests can come over, the uninvited pop-ins. You might need extra tables or chairs or plates or silverware or couches or bedding or pillows. I don't know. Who knows what your life is, but whatever you need for your style, your budget, your decor, Wayfair will have it for you. It makes it easier to personalize your home for the holidays with a huge selection from every style and budget. And it's got free and easy delivery, even for the big stuff. So you can get everything that you need without the hassle of huge delivery fees. Get organized, refreshed, and ready for the holidays for way less. Head to wayfair.com right now to shop all these things home. That is wayfair.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. Okay, so we are talking about the 240 game. We're talking about the Atlantic Division in the NBA. We just did Boston, and that is a team that I thought needed a little bit of extra time. And this next one probably needs more time as well, except I don't know how to give it to you because it's the Brooklyn Nets, and they are going to be a mess. It is going to be a disaster. They are going to be a terrible team with a very good coach, which is going to put them at odds because he is going to be pulling wins out of his cavities. And the front office is going to be going, Geordie, my guy, that's great. I love the flex. but stop being good. We want to be bad. We went through this last year, my guy, and we ended up with pick 9. Stop it. And you are going to see trades. You're going to see fake injuries. You're going to see releasings. You are going to see nonsense. I think opening night, the starting 5 will be Ben Saraf, but only 21 minutes. And that's not a long-term thing. Yegor Djolman came in and played his first preseason game. And honestly, I did not like what I saw from him in college. I thought he looked good. The shooting looks just way better. There are going to be defensive worries, and I'll see how the shooting goes longer term. But even if Saraf starts, or it might be Nolan Traore, and this is going to be a problem with this team, that Saraf will take, Jolman will take this position and be intriguing. I think he's going to have a lot more detriments to his game that impact fantasy and make it hard to roster him, a la Isaiah Collier last season. But I think that Jolman will take over from Saraf. But if you wanted an early streamer, maybe Saraf. I've got Cam Thomas at 30 minutes. I guarantee you now he is going to be the most infuriating player to watch in the NBA. He will score a lot. He's already said, what was the question they asked him? Are you going to do, you're going to look to do more playmaking? No, I'm going to be me. Sweet, my guy. That's going to be fun. I got him at 30 minutes because, again, the team is not invested in him. There's obvious friction there, and he does dumb stuff. I've got Terrence Mann starting and playing 25 minutes, and we do not care. Give me a 16-team league, maybe. I got Michael Porter Jr. at 31, and I talked about this in the injury risk show yesterday, that Porter will probably be better than a top 80 player. He was awesome yesterday, but he's not going to be playing every game. He's just not. He's going to be a big scorer. He might put up, at times, top 50 numbers. But it's just not going to be reliable enough in a head-to-head format. Roto, bump him 2.5 rounds. I think that's fine. Head-to-head, no. And I got Nick Claxton at center playing 27 minutes. We'll see how many ejections and technical fouls and flagrant fouls Claxo gets this season. They have other center options. They just re-signed Day'Ron Sharpe. They drafted Danny Wolf. So we'll see how much they want to use Claxton. For the bench, I've got starting the season Jolman at 25 minutes. I think that'll push to 28. You'll notice in these 10-man rotation, there is no Nolan Traore. There is no Drake Powell, both first-round picks, because I don't know where to fit them. Where does Traore fit? And that's what I mean. I think we're going to have random ins and outs, random rests and rotation changes all the time. I got Ziaire Williams at 24. He played pretty well yesterday, but there's not an easy, clear path here. I got Noah Clowney at 23. He was bad yesterday. I want Clowney to get a big role, but they've got Porter. They're going to run Mann. They're going to run Williams. I'm not sure it's going to happen. He's a deeper flyer guy. I do have Day'Ron Sharpe playing 18 and Danny Wolf playing 16 with Hayward Highsmith injured. Now, they both theoretically could play center, but I do think you will see Wolf and Sharpe or Wolf and Claxton play together. It is, again, where we get to this, there's just a lot of guys here that they need to get playing time to, because I mentioned no Traore, no Powell, that's 12 guys, no Highsmith. They traded for Kobe Buffkin. Where on earth does he fit? It's going to be frustrating. So if you're thinking, hey, maybe it's Mann, maybe it's Jolman, maybe it's Saraf, maybe it's Clowney or Sharpe or Wolf, I don't think you should get attached to these players realistically at all. Let's talk Knicks. We had a quote from Michael Brown yesterday saying he wants to get Mikal Bridges, Jalen Brunson down to 34 minutes. But okay, that's interesting. We've already been off of these guys because of the non-Tibbs factor, even though Brown plays his guys a lot of minutes. But this team has more depth than what the Kings teams have had, and also what the Knicks team had last season. So I do have Brunson, Bridges, Anunoby, and Towns at 34 minutes. OG is currently questionable with a mild ankle tweak, so who knows if he's available, but overall 34. I've got Mitchell Robinson starting and playing 24 minutes. They will limit his minutes, and he will play no back-to-backs. OG is the interesting one. It's been an up and down preseason for Agugwa, but I think that he's going underdrafted in a lot of spots. Now, if he misses, that does elevate Josh the Hitman Hart into a larger role, and it means you'll have to see someone like a Pacome Dadier play maybe, but more importantly, you just see more for Juice McBride, most likely. Anunoby was really strong last season. He also upped his usage incredibly at the end of the year. So we'll see exactly where that goes. Now, I do have Josh the Hitman Hart playing 32 minutes off the bench, which is very clearly not enough to be a top 50 player. In the 80s or 90s, no problem. He's also injured. I don't know that he's going to be available opening night. I think he will, but I don't know. I've got Gershon Yabusele playing 15 minutes. On nights where Robinson doesn't play, I just expect that Ariel Hukporti moves into a role and Yabusele's playing time increases. I've got Jordan Clarkson only at 20 minutes and Juice McBride at 13. Now, McBride has been one of the Knicks' best players in preseason. But you know what the standard comment is that's cool, but where do I get him minutes? Because there's 9 guys I've got in this rotation. I've got all those starters playing 34, which is reasonable. If not, they play more. Like, if OG is out, it helps. And then what happens? Hart plays 27, I guess. Is that what they could do? And give 5 more to McBride? Yabusele plays fewer than 15. Clarkson plays fewer than 20. None of that seems real. So as much as we've loved what McBride has done, unless they cut the starters even further, or OG doesn't play, I don't know how he gets enough, which is frustrating. And this is part of when I talk about, and people say, oh, the league is so weak, it's so bad, no one plays defense, it's so watered down, nothing means anything, right? That's garbage for a start. The league is deep. If you expand, like Juice McBride goes to a team and he's a starter, and he's good. Like, he's a good player. There are teams that are bad, absolutely there are. But you also see some of the bad teams, like the Nets that we just covered, that have all these young players and prospects that they can't actually get playing time for. The Pimple, Derrick Whitehead, a first-round pick, who was a top 5 high school recruit, was cut after 2 years. Really? Jalen Hood-Schifino, out of the league in 2 seasons. I'm not saying these are good players, but they've never given the opportunity because the spaces don't exist for a lot of these guys. I'm just going off track a bit here. But Juice McBride is a starting caliber player. And he might be the 9th man playing 13 minutes on the Knicks. Maybe. And this doesn't even include Landry Shamet, who's not good, but serviceable. There's no Malcolm Brogdon. Of course, he weirdly retired. But players like Tyler Kolek, is he interesting? I don't know. Paco Mdadier, their first-round pick. Sure. For some reason, they started Mohamed Diawara in the game yesterday, who's not even on the roster. So is he good enough? I don't know. He put up good numbers yesterday. It's a little strange. It's a little frustrating at times when we go, I like this player, but when can he play? And speaking of when can they play, let's talk about the Philadelphia 76ers. I am going into this with the expectation that Paul George will not be available opening night, but it seems like he won't be far away. So I'm doing the 240 game with early season minutes, including limited George and limited Embiid. So I'll talk about that in a sec. But one thing I feel good about, obviously, is Tyrese Maxey is going to start, and self-branded hat legend Nick Nurse is going to play him a lot of minutes. I've got Maxey at 37 minutes this upcoming season, so that's obviously helpful. But as we've seen, when he plays with Embiid, we see a 30% usage, when he had 29% yet last season, but when he plays with Embiid, it's 24. It's a big difference. Now, the thing that does happen is his percentages usually rise. So he might be a 38% three-point shooter with Embiid instead of 34. Instead of 43, he might be 46 from the field. So last season, he was great, obviously, 14th in Durant, 15th in Yahoo points. But that was on 29 usage, which if Embiid gets 60 games, remember Embiid played fewer than 20, if Embiid plays 60, a very hard ask, Maxey will not achieve 29 usage. I'm fairly sure of that. And that makes it risky when you look at him as a first-round player. It makes it risky. It does appear that the dominatrix VJ Edgecombe is going to start. And Biden appears like he's going to start. I've got him there at 31 minutes, but if Nick Nurse is in, he'll play him a lot. Now, Edgecombe was awesome in the preseason game yesterday. One thing I'd say with Edgecombe, right? Lock in if you want steals. He will get you pretty good steals. I'm very happy with that. Some of his passing stuff's been interesting, but when you are rolling a Maxey, Embiid, George grouping, his usage is not going to be high. And as a rookie, when NBA games count, he probably will not shoot well. And he will probably be pretty rough early on overall on a fantasy team. But the role is going to be there, it seems. I think that Oubre will start and play 33 minutes, and I think he should be drafted. But Kelly Oubre's success, or if that's how you want to define it in fantasy, has generally come because he somehow finds his way into a spot, everyone falls down around him, and he's given a lot of shots. Now, to be fair to him, his steal rate has improved a lot recently, which has helped. But if Maxey, Edgecombe, George, and Embiid are all there, and Oubre's working as your spot-up guy, well, he's not good at that. So he might not be useful enough. But as they drop like flies and he stands upright, there's way more there. I've got Paul George, who won't play in the opener, I'm pretty sure, and might miss maybe the first week is my guess. I've got him at 28 minutes as he ramps back up. Now, I don't mind grabbing George in the 90s or 100s. Obviously, there's a risk. He was bad last season, but there are a lot of things in that profile where you can look at and go, well, that could improve, surely. Give me 2 extra points, percentage points on his threes, and we're looking all right, which is possible. And then I've got Embiid at 28 minutes, and I think that he probably won't push to 33 at all, but maybe 30, 31 over the course of the season. We just got to hope there's no setbacks in what Joel does, because he looked pretty good in those limited minutes yesterday. And now we get to their rotation, which is where, again, it gets bloody tough. I've got Quentin Grimes at 31 minutes. Grimes, first preseason game yesterday, was great. But also, will he start? I don't know. Maybe he does start when Paul George is out. Yesterday, it was a Dembona who started, which is out of left field completely. They'd been starting Dom Barlow. And I thought, okay, so Boner will go to the bench, Embiid will start, and Barlow will stay starting. No, they went with Boner and Embiid, and the way that Joel Embiid talked, even though he lies all the time, it sounded like that might be what they do. So Boner, I think, will play 20 minutes most nights, but he might be 25 minutes. So even though Embiid is back, still draft Boner late, and we just want to see how it plays out. Also, remember, Nick Nurse told us Paul Reed would play power forward like Pascal Siakam and then played 0 seconds of power forward in that season a few years ago, so that was great. But just keep an eye on that Boner situation, as I know you love to do. Quentin Grimes, again, 31 minutes. He was great last game. Does he get enough usage with Embiid, Maxey, Edgecombe, George? Seems unlikely. I like him as a player, but it did require a lot of things toppling to get there. And in the last 2 rotation spots, I got like Justin Edwards at 15, who's not been very good, and Eric Gordon at 16, who is still there, and he's still talking like he's an every night part of the rotation, and Nick Nurse loves the old crusty farts who'll put up threes. Now, Jared McCain will take one of these spots at some point. Dom Barlow might get minutes, but what else are we looking at? Trent Watford's injured with a hamstring. Jabari Walker, Kyle Lowry, Andre Drummond. I don't think so. So we get to a team that is actually relatively shallow when you look at your 8th and 9th guy being Justin Edwards and Eric Gordon, and yeah, one of them will be McCain. And McCain will come in and might even take just those. And it's another thing. Like, people want Jared McCain to be fantasy valuable this season. Like, how? Where, again, it's going to require just guys not being there. I mean, which is possible, but he's one of the guys not there. So it is a tougher ask to get there than what it would seem. We're going to come back and we're going to talk about my Toronto Raptors coming up. Today's episode, though, it is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer that you won't want to miss. New customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. You pick a bet, you put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. You've got so many ways to play. You can do it on parlays. You can do it with player props. You can go live betting, in-game live betting on spreads and totals, futures. All that is available over on FanDuel. Just win their first $5 bet and get the bonus bets to use across the app. So what are you waiting for? Go to FanDuel.com, download the FanDuel app today and get started. And don't forget to gamble responsibly. We're back playing the 240 game here, and we're going to go to the final team in the Atlantic Division. And of course, we're talking about the Toronto Raptors. And outside of an injury that might crop up, which we'll talk about in a second, the starting group is pretty easy. Emmanuel Quickley is going to start. He looked pretty good yesterday. 33 minutes. Rowan Barrett, 33 minutes. Does get a little bit underdrafted. Brandon Ingram, 33 minutes. Scottie Barnes, 34 minutes. Now, Barnes had been terrible in the preseason, but he was good yesterday, like very good. And what we did see in that game, which was contrary to the other ones, is Barnes' usage went up and Ingram's went down. So we keep an eye on that. I still like Barnes in round 3 versus round 2, but that was an interesting development. Now, the injury I'm talking about is the big man, Jakob Poeltl, who I've got at 29 minutes, but he left yesterday's preseason game with back stiffness. He's had some back problems already this preseason. That is not good. I have been big on drafting Jakob Poeltl earlier than expectations. He was in the 80s. Now, he wasn't in the 80s because of a back problem. Let this be clear. This could be one of these ones where I look very wrong on it. And that's okay. I'm willing to wear that because he wasn't positioned at 84 because of a back injury. I just think he was misappropriately put at 84 because the values, they didn't have the right value on him. So I've go early on him, and now this problem crops up. So if he gets hurt, and then he doesn't play the requisite minutes, he might finish 90th, making that 84 look good. But as we always know, process is what's more important. Process is always more important because you can trip over your dick to get to a right spot, but if you don't know how you got there, that actually gives you no benefit as you move forward. So I'm still fine with drafting Poeltl. I'm big into it. But The back flaring up twice, not good. What has happened is Sandro Mamakhalishvili has been the backup center in preseason, so he would be streamable in the situation where Poeltl has to miss. If we look at their bench grouping, I've got the big fella, the prestige penis, grade A Dick at 20 minutes. I've seen Dick get drafted in 12-team leagues, which just should not happen. Dick started lots of last season, and he wasn't very good. He doesn't offer very much for category leagues. I think that we're going to see Dick shrink in his role this season, because where does he play? Injuries? Sure. But I've got him at 20. Ochai Agbaji played like 22, 23 minutes at times last season. I've got him at 16. First round pick, Colin Murray-Boyles. I've got him at 16. And I know that you will argue, CMB is going to be rookie of the year, 6 man. How? Again, easy to say, harder to do. Maybe Murray-Boyles plays 26 minutes. From this rotation I've got here, that means you've got to give him 10 more. So does Dick play 10? Does Agbaji play... Let's say we take 2 off Dick. He's at 18, Agbaji's at 14, Shed's at 13, Mamu's at 9. You still need to find 2 more minutes to give Murray-Boyles to 26 then. And I just don't think that's happening. So I've got Mamakhalishvili at 11 minutes here, expecting them to go small at times with some Barnes at center or some Murray-Boyles at center. But if Poeltl is out, Mamu will play 27-ish, 26 maybe. And then all this adjusts and maybe Mobo comes into the rotation or Jacoby Walter jumps in. Because again, this is a team that's deep because Jacoby Walter should be getting every game minutes. I don't love Jacoby Walter to play. In fact, I think he might not be very good at all. But he should be getting minutes. So should John Mobo. They just waived AJ Lawson and re-signed him to a 2-way after cutting Ulrich Chomsky as well, which I didn't love. But Chucky Hepburn's been great in preseason. He's just not going to play. AJ Lawson's not going to play. Jameson Battle's not going to play. Garrett Temple was never going to play, but whatever. But Jacoby Walter's their 11th man. Where does he play? It's really, really hard to see how this happens. Now, injuries will occur. But when we look at it, this is how I think it is from a healthy perspective. And it is hard to figure that out. It is hard to get yourself, hey, Dick should play 28, sure. CMB, he's a high pick, he plays 26. Okay, cool. I really like Shed. Why doesn't he play 20 minutes? He could. But how? The question is just always how. Because it becomes very hard to do. That is the Atlantic Division 240 game. I'm not sure that I'll even read this, but I'll ask you to do it. What division should I do next? I've got in my head what I want to do, and I'll see if I see the responses before I record it, but drop it in the comments. Hit the thumbs up, subscribe, leave your comments. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.